Because I was too poor, I took on 2 part-time jobs as the female lead in both a male-oriented and a female-oriented novel. The female leads in both books went on strike due to mistreatment, so I had to step in and take their places. I decisively chose to transmigrate into the kindergarten setting. If I can't handle an adult CEO or an adult J-City monk, can't I at least deal with 2 little kids? A little girl with big round eyes and chubby cheeks transferred to the kindergarten in City J. I introduced myself in a sweet, childish Beijing accent. Hello everyone, my name is Mary. Teacher Jane from the senior class was very considerate of my feelings and guided all the little kids to clap and welcome me together. Children, look how adorable our new classmate Mary is. Let's all welcome her together. Okay, only 2 little beans didn't clap. One is the lively and energetic domineering CEO male lead, John. The other is the J-City's Buddha-like male lead, George, who sits upright and already shows signs of a cold, handsome appearance at such a young age. Host, both of these worlds are of hell-level difficulty, and no one else would be willing to come. We don't have any plot or strategy requirements. It's all up to you to improvise. The system's AI voice always seems to carry a hint of heaviness. As a seasoned transmigrator, I've faced even the most hellish difficulties. I reassured the system, don't worry, we've got this. Due to the attraction between the male and female leads, Ms. Jane arranged for me to sit between John and George. John seemed to have fleas or something. He just couldn't keep his butt in the chair. At one moment, the movement resembles a bear rubbing against a tree, and the next, it seems like dancing on a chair. I ignored John and poked George on the right. Hey kid, what's your name? George didn't even lift his eyelids, glanced at me, and then ignored me. No wonder he is the future Buddha of J-City, the noble and aloof, untouchable high mountain flower in the romance novel, the spoiled wife and the gentle Buddha. The prayer beads turn, the killing intent arises. This is the origin of the J-City's child of Buddha. However, no matter how anti-human the child of Buddha becomes when he grows up, right now he's just a 5-year-old little bean sprout. Can't I handle him? Teacher Jane organized a game of Pass the Parcel for us. When the flower was passed to me, I held it in my hand and never passed it to the next child. The other children shouted one after another, Teacher Jane, Mary isn't passing the flower. Teacher Jane, she must want to perform a show herself. Just before Teacher Jane called for a stop, I quickly threw it to the next child, George. George's phoenix eyes widened in surprise. I was laughing my head off inside, trying to act cool. Serves you right for messing up. Teacher Jane led the children in enthusiastic applause. Let's welcome our little friend George to the stage to perform. George's little voice sounded a bit flustered. Teacher Jane, I don't know how to perform. Teacher Jane comforted him gently. It's okay, you can imitate your favorite cartoon character and let the kids guess who it is. Alright, George had no choice but to brace himself and step onto the stage. He made a motion like shooting a light beam and added a sound effect with his mouth. Ja. All the little kids in the class clapped along. Ultraman, Teacher Jane, he's performing as Tiga. The little boys all imitated George's actions, and George became less restrained. Teacher Jane enthusiastically praised him and encouraged him to do another one. George lay directly on the ground, closed his eyes pretending to sleep, and said, I am a noble sheep born to sleep. Ha 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 ha. Teacher Jane, this is lazy goat. Teacher Jane, I like pretty goat. Teacher Jane, pleasant goat is the smartest. I like pleasant goat. After George stepped down, he asked me angrily, Mary, why did you deliberately make me perform? I made a cheeky face and said, who told you to ignore me? George said, I wasn't ignoring you. I thought George was lying and retorted, I was talking to you, but you weren't talking back to me. How is that not ignoring me? My dad said I should talk less. If I have something to say, I should say it in my heart, not out loud with my mouth, or else he won't let me into the house. Wow, no wonder everyone says the male lead George doesn't have a mouth, so he's been talking to the female lead in his heart all this time. John, who was listening nearby, exclaimed, wow, your dad is so mean. George got angry again. Your dad is the mean one. I tried to mediate. All right then, I forgive you. But your dad is wrong. Only you can hear the thoughts in your mind, but the words you speak can be heard by others. Don't you want others to hear what you say and play with you? George shook his head. I don't want to. I glared at him. Why, you're a girl, I don't like playing with girls. I'm so angry, I laughed. The little bean is even pulling gender discrimination. I'm a girl. So what? Do you know who I am? John answered quickly. I know. You're Mary. I'm Mary. But I also have a secret identity. The two of them looked horrified. What identity? I extended my phone watch and showed them a video. Dear little Mary, I am the king of Ultraman. Thank you for your help, which allowed us to successfully defeat Emperor Carlera, Alien Emperor, the Dark Lord Gatanazoa, and many other powerful monsters. On behalf of the Ultraman family, I thank you. Now, I have more important matters to attend to, so I will pass on the identity of the king of Ultraman to you. You are the next king of Ultraman. George and John both gasped in unison, their eyes filled with awe as they looked at me, their voices trembling slightly. Is this real? Of course it's true, pictures can be photoshopped, but videos can't be. John immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Hail the king of Ultraman, rise. I looked at George. George immediately sprang up from his chair, nervously clutching the hem of his clothes, and stood there awkwardly. Then prepared to kneel and kowtow to me. I quickly stopped him. If this Buddha-like guy remembers that he once kowtowed to me when he grows up, he'd probably chop me in half. Don't make too much of a scene. John had two clear noodles hanging from his nostrils. He wiped them off with the back of his hand, licked it clean, and then asked me with a wise look in his eyes, are we like cockroaches? You can't let everyone know. This is a secret. I only told the two of you because you're my good friends. The two little kids nodded solemnly. However, just as class started in the afternoon, a little boy secretly asked me, Mary, are you really the king of Ultraman? I sighed mysteriously. Since you already know, I won't hide it from you anymore. I played the video for him again. The little boy's eyes widened like copper bells. I became the big boss of the top class. After school, many little kids from the big class mysteriously pulled their parents aside to whisper secrets. And John was no exception. Mom, I'm going to tell you a secret, but you can't tell anyone else. Sure, in our class, Mary has a secret identity. What kind of identity is so mysterious? John's mother speculated in her heart whether that little friend Mary might be the child of some celebrity or high-ranking official, only to have the child accidentally spill the beans at kindergarten. Soon, John spoke the answer into her ear with utmost seriousness and gravity. She is the king of Ultraman. Host, even teacher Jane knows you are the king of Ultraman now. It's fine, they won't bother to expose me over matters between us kids. The host is too abstract. The system alone digested the complex emotions and said, today, George's malicious female supporting character, Daisy, took a sick leave and didn't come to school. She will be back tomorrow, and she is the most troublesome character in the book, compared to George. This Daisy is even more of a heavyweight, the book says. If George torments you, there's still a reason behind it, but if Daisy torments you, it's simply because she wants to. Don't worry, no matter how much of an outlaw she becomes when she grows up, she's still just a 5-year-old girl now. The next day, Daisy indeed came to cause trouble for me. Mary, I order you not to steal my brother George. You are not allowed to be good friends. I am his best friend. I imitated her by putting my hands on my hips, acting just as arrogantly. Why should I listen to you? I will be his good friend, his best friend. Daisy pulled George over. Brother George, tell me, who is your best friend? George looked at me, then at Daisy, his 5-year-old face etched with weariness. Seeing that George couldn't answer, Daisy stomped her foot fiercely. Fine, since you want to compete with me, I'll challenge you to a contest. The winner will be George's best friend. I asked Daisy, what are we competing in? Daisy said, let's see who can spin in circles and make their skirt fly the highest. John exclaimed in surprise, wow, Daisy, you dare to compete with Mary? Are you crazy? Daisy retorted defiantly, why wouldn't I dare? Do you even know who she is? John whispered conspiratorially into Daisy's ear. She's the king of Ultra. Daisy said she wasn't afraid of any king of Ultra, so, in front of all the children in the class, Daisy and I started a spinning contest. We both spun like tops, our skirts flying high, but Daisy was wearing a full skirt, so hers flew a little higher than mine. John shouted loudly, Mary is the king of the Ultraman, how could she possibly lose? I lifted the hem of my skirt and spun with it held high above my head. Daisy saw me and tried to imitate, but ended up revealing her underwear printed with Peppa Pig. I teased her, Ha 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 Daisy, why are you wearing Peppa Pig underwear? Are you a little piggy, Daisy? The little kids burst into laughter and started chattering about the Peppa Pig underwear. Daisy stopped spinning her hula hoop, too angry to speak, and stomped her feet hard on the spot, accidentally letting out a fart. Daisy's but made a sound. Ha ha ha. Daisy farted during the competition. Daisy burst into tears, crying loudly. Teacher Jane hurried over to comfort the sobbing Daisy. After hearing the whole story from the little ones, she reassured Daisy, saying, Daisy, every child in kindergarten is a good friend. Mary is George's good friend, and you are George's good friend too. Daisy sniffled and said, but I don't want George to be someone else's good friend. I walked over and asked her, Daisy, why don't you let George make friends with others? Daisy pouted and explained, I only have one friend, but George has two friends. It's not fair, isn't that simple? I reached out and held her soft, tiny fist, which was only the size of a ping-pong ball, and said, I'll be your friend too. That way, you'll have two friends, and George will have two friends. Fair, right? Daisy's tears turned into a smile. Fair, John yelled. No way, I'm Mary's friend too. Daisy got angry. You're not allowed to be Mary's friend. We spent a harmonious kindergarten period. After starting elementary school, they found out that the King of Ultraman was a hoax, but we were still good friends. Only John, who had been giving me the cold shoulder for a day, because his dream was for me to take him to the M78 Nebula to meet all the Ultramen and take a photo with them. Now his dream is shattered. After school, we walked together, but he didn't speak to me, so I thought I'd treat him to a grilled sausage to comfort him. I walked with John to the sausage stand and asked the vendor, Uncle, how much is one grilled sausage? The uncle smiled and held up two fingers. I said, but I only have $1. The uncle said, little one, you don't have enough money, you can't buy it. I spread my feet shoulder width apart, raised an index finger toward the sky, and declared passionately, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river. Do not underestimate a girl's poverty. John was stunned, his eyes filled with a hint of admiration. Wow, Mary, you're so cool. George and Daisy, who were late leaving school, had been chasing after us from behind, but when they saw us acting abstract again, they stopped dead in their tracks and turned to walk in the opposite direction. John and I, however, refused to let them go and ran toward them, so they started running too. He runs, she chases. They have nowhere to escape. Although I am no longer the King of Ultraman, my status as the big sister remains unshakable, because I am now the esteemed and invincible Phoenix Egg. George and Daisy are both goose eggs, and John is an ostrich egg. They were stunned when they heard about my invincible Phoenix Egg. John said, I never thought there would be an invincible Phoenix Egg right beside me. Daisy said, Mary, please help me become a Phoenix Egg. I beg you. George said, Mary, take me along too. I agreed, so whenever we had free time, the four of us would play as a squad of four. After playing for a long time, the four of us had such great chemistry that we seemed like quadruplets. George was relatively calm and steady, usually playing the role of the anchor. Daisy and John are the second and third to hug. As a top-tier agile egg, I'm just waiting for them to hug me, step on John's head, and launch into a super jump. As we played, the exam scores of the other three eggs dropped out of the top 10 in the class one after another. Daisy asked me with a worried expression, Mary, why is it that even though you play Eggy Party every day, your grades don't slip? It's a pity that elementary school student Daisy will never know the real reason, because I told her, of course, it's because I'm a genius among elementary school students. She sighed, I really envy you, you have such good grades and you're so good at playing Eggy Party. My grandpa said that if I don't make it into the top 10 in the next exam, he won't let my dad bring me back to the Ding family. I've long noticed that Daisy, as a child, is adorably naive and completely different from the twisted, malicious female antagonist in the book. Her mother is my father's mistress and still has no status. Only if Daisy excels academically will the Ding family patriarch, valuing Daisy's outstanding lineage, grant her mother a proper place. I suppose Daisy's change in temperament must have occurred after she became the eldest daughter of the Ding family, though it's unclear what exactly she went through. Thinking about it this way, it's hard to say whether being recognized by the Ding family was a good or bad thing for her. I thought for a moment and asked her, do you like your father and grandfather? Daisy instinctively showed a fearful expression. No, they are very strict. Since you don't like them, do you still want them to acknowledge you? If they really liked you, how could they abandon you just because you didn't make it into the top 10? My dad and grandpa would never abandon me for not making the top 10. What about you, George? George shook his head. My dad and grandpa wouldn't either. John agreed. Exactly. No kid's dad or grandpa would, except for yours. They don't want you. They want a kid who makes the top 10. Making the top 10 means you can get into Tsinghua or Peking University, and then become the national leader someday. That's what they really want. Daisy suddenly realized and looked at John with admiration. So that's how it is, John, you're really clever. It's a good thing you saw through their schemes and tricks. Otherwise, if I didn't become the national leader, they would definitely have killed me. For the transition to middle school, George and I got into a key junior high school. While Daisy and John could only attend a private one, John met his green tea supporting female character, Fiona. My position as the top student remained unshakable. Since starting middle school, we began playing Honor of Kings. I am a national level ADC and a national level Marco Polo. Every weekend, John and George stick to me, asking for tips on how to play ADC. I confidently explain. With red and blue buffs in the early game, ADC can easily get a double kill. John took notes seriously and raised his hand to ask, reporting to Sister Mary, what if I can't get a double kill? You're just an average ADC. It's normal if you can't get it. If you don't farm well, in the late game, you'll have to resort to backdooring. I patted John and said, little brother, remember, when backdooring, you absolutely must get the famed blade siming. Later, when I played with John, he said he would show me his ADC skills. He first went naked and became famous for the Sword of Destiny. The other three teammates were confused. I asked John what exactly he remembered. He said, an ordinary ADC can only steal bases, and to steal bases, you need the Sword of Destiny. Second round, George, Daisy, and the young version of the green tea supporting character Fiona also joined. I chose ADC. Fiona typed, Brother John, I don't know how to play. If I mess up, will the sisters blame me? I said, then pick assistants. Daisy typed a question mark. Before Fiona came, it was always Daisy playing as the support hero Yao and staying on my head. I said to Daisy, Daisy, you should take the off-lane role. You're really strong in the off-lane too. Daisy, you want her to play support, and me to play off-lane. I coaxed Daisy, no choice. Daisy, this is a promotion match. You can't let Fiona play the top lane, or we'll lose points. Daisy had no choice but to swallow her pride and fill in as the top lane hero. Zhu Beiji, as the game started, Fiona immediately went to the bottom lane to play with John as the marksman. Fiona cooed, Brother John, I'm here to protect you. Daisy commanded her, aren't you contesting the mid lane with George? Fiona was puzzled. What does contesting the mid lane mean? I coaxed the two bickering little girls. It's fine, it's fine. If John dies less, we'll have a better chance of winning. I came out of the jungle at level 4, helped George gank the enemy mid laner, secured a dragon, and then went to assist Daisy in ganking the enemy fighter. It's only been 3 minutes, and the enemy marksman is 6/0/0. Daisy couldn't hold back. Can you guys in the bottom lane die less? John reluctantly said, Fiona, maybe you should go with the jungler. Fiona was also angry. You're the one causing the most trouble, you pig. Daisy exploded and fired back without backing down. I even filled in as Zhu Beiji just to carry you, and you still don't appreciate it. What a princess you are. Do you think I'll spoil you like John does? Fiona mocked. What's the big deal about playing a pig? You used to wear Peppa Pig underwear. LOL, little pig Daisy. Daisy sent another question mark and then turned to curse at John. John, are you insane? You even told her that. Don't you remember eating your own snot as a kid and kowtowing to Mary? And you, Princess Fiona, you must look just like that little sow in GG Bond. Right, you even have the same name. Three immature players are arguing fiercely over the mic. The bottom lane is falling apart, and the off-laner is idling under the tower clearing minions. George doesn't want to lose the promotion match and urgently calls out to me, Mary, you need to step in now. We're being pushed back step by step. And the enemy marksman taunts. The surrender option is in the settings. The enemy Levi also says, support. Your ADC isn't doing so well. can't even carry you, why not join our team next round? The opposing support is confused. John tries to mediate. Ladies, please stop arguing. If you keep going, our base will be gone. The enemy's taunts temporarily paused our internal conflict. I start commanding, Fiona, stick with me, I'll help you dominate. Daisy, after your first tower is down, clear the lane and then group up with the marksman and the mid laner. John, your last item should be a resurrection item, in team fights. Remember to stay in the back and wait for the marksmen to finish their ultimate. My economy has been consistently high. With Fiona's support, I've managed to ambush the backline several times. After I killed the enemy's 2 carries a few times, they got smarter and started grouping up. I said, Fiona, go protect the marksmen and defend the base. They're grouping up, I'll go split push alone. Fiona, who had teamed up with me to secure so many kills, was still a bit reluctant. But what about you? Don't worry, my skills are flawless. John was stunned. Damn, this Mary is always so good at showing off. The enemy team is grouping up to pressure the tower. ADC always secures the Lord when our team is struggling to clear minion waves, releasing the dragon minions to relieve the pressure, then disappears into the jungle before the enemy can retreat. Like a ghost, the opponents are pushing the tower. Apart from me and Daisy, the other 3 teammates were taken down. I quietly approached the enemy crystal with 2 lanes of super minions. 2 of the players returned to defend, letting the other 3 teammates continue to push. Daisy uses her ultimate to block the 3 opponents, buying me a full 10 seconds, victory, before the crystal explodes. Daisy taunts the opponents, did killing me help? Fiona has changed. She no longer clings to John every day, instead, she asks me to duo queue whenever she has free time. Daisy privately messages Fiona, what do you mean by asking Mary to duo queue every day? Fiona, is that not allowed? Daisy questioned, don't you like sticking to John? Fiona sighed, after riding Marco, the top-tier hero, why would I want to ride a marksman who dies 5 times in 3 minutes? Daisy snapped, aren't you afraid I'll tell John? Fiona, go ahead. I just wanted John to carry me in the game because of his high rank. But it turns out his rank was boosted by Mary. Daisy scolded her, you're so shameless. Fiona sneered, don't you also want Mary to take you along? How are you any better than me? Daisy, play fewer games, or you won't even get into high school. Daisy was so angry she cried. Fiona's grades were much better than hers, and she couldn't even argue back. So Daisy came to me to complain, Mary, you are not allowed to bring that Princess Fiona anymore. I asked as usual, what's wrong with you two? Did you fight again? Daisy said, Fiona is just using you to rank up, and she even mocked me for not being able to get into high school. I rested my chin on my hand and thought deeply, if this continues, Daisy might really not get into high school. Daisy obviously didn't realize the seriousness of the situation and was still asking, don't you think she's being especially unreasonable? I said, she is being unreasonable, just wait. I'll talk to her for you. I went to privately message Fiona. Fiona, I'll help you rank up. Can you do me a favor in return? Fiona, of course, Sister Mary's business is my business, I said with delight. Then I'll leave it to you to help Daisy get into the top high school. Fiona was puzzled. John's novel, The Unruly Son-in-Law, is a revenge-themed, face-slapping, satisfying story. The year he took the high school entrance exam, his mother died in a car accident when the brakes of her car were tampered with by a business rival. His father went bankrupt and hanged himself at home. John's personality changed drastically from then on. He was adopted by the female lead's family. To protect his self-esteem, the female lead secretly helped him behind the scenes, but all the credit was taken by the green tea supporting character, Fiona. John always believed that the female lead's family was the real culprit behind his parents' death. For years, he endured hardships, married the female lead to take over her family's business, and then began to torment her for over 1,000 chapters. I solved the problem at its root by protecting John's mother and then delivering evidence of their enemies' actions to John's father. So, in the original storyline, John, who was once dependent on others, is now a carefree high school boy with both parents still alive. Because he spent all his time playing games in middle school, he couldn't even get into a decent high school. John's mother held him down and spanked him with a feather duster, scolding him as she did, which of your childhood friends is as obsessed with games and neglects their future like you? John protested. they all play games, and Mary is even a top-tier ADC player in the national server. John's mother slapped him again with a smack. Mary is the best at gaming and the best at studying. How dare you compare yourself to her? George and Daisy play games too. George stays up until midnight playing and even sleeps in class. Smack. It's bad enough that you're wasting your time on games, but you talk back 5 times for every word I say. George's family hired a bunch of tutors, and he's willing to study at home, so it's fine if he occasionally doesn't pay attention in class. Smack. But you've driven away every tutor we hired for you. How dare you even mention others? Smack. Daisy's grades were worse than yours at first. But she caught up on her own and got into school through her own efforts, unlike you, who had to pay to get into high school. Smack. I think you might as well marry into Mary's family in the future and let Mary manage the family business. After starting high school, George became obsessed with playing with prayer beads, carrying a string of Buddhist beads in his hand all day. As he was fiddling with them, he noticed Mary, Daisy, John, and Fiona huddled together, whispering something while occasionally glancing at him out of the corner of their eyes. George's heart sank, suspecting they were secretly gossiping about him, but he had no proof. He approached them and faintly heard the words, prayer beads, and Buddha boy, but as soon as he got close, they stopped talking and coughed uncomfortably. George bitterly confirmed that they were indeed mocking him, with undeniable evidence. He was not one to bottle things up, so he spoke his mind directly. You're going too far, talking behind my back like that, John blurted out. Then would you be happy if we said it to your face? Furious, George unleashed his most powerful retort. I thought you were my best friends, but none of you are worth keeping. I'm done with you. I quickly explained. Actually, we weren't talking bad about you. It's just that we've been hearing some rumors lately. A lot of classmates are saying you're the J-City Buddha boy. Pfft. Daisy couldn't help but laugh. John slung his arm around George's shoulder. Buddha boy, is your prayer bead bracelet really your Achilles heel? George felt a sudden wave of embarrassment. I just like playing with my beads. Who told them to give me such a silly nickname? Fiona pointed at George's hand fiddling with his beads. Oh no, his prayer beads are spinning. He's got murderous intentions toward you all. Me, George, you have to hold back. We live in a society governed by the rule of law. Killing is illegal. George was so teased by us that he never dared to look at Guanine again. In the year of the purest hunger, during evening self-study, I secretly crawled out of the school through a dog hole with Daisy to buy jianbing and milk tea, and we had to bring some back for John and the others. John wants to eat 2 hamburgers and a pizza, George wants to have seafood congee and crystal buns, and Fiona wants a caramel croissant and black forest cake. In the time of one class, Daisy and I traveled halfway across the city. We returned to school just as the class ended, and the 5 of us had a satisfying meal. Having tasted the benefits, we repeated the same trick the next day. This time, it was George and John who crawled out through the dog hole. On the 3rd evening study session, the homeroom teacher held a class meeting. He turned on the computer and played a surveillance video. In the video, George and John were sneaking out of the school, crouching down with their butts in the air. 50 minutes later, a hand reached in from outside the school, pushing in fried rice, sushi, skewers, and milk tea one after another, followed by a shifty-eyed head poking through. The whole class burst into laughter, and even I couldn't hold back. George and John exchanged a look of shared misery and glared at me in unison. After the video ended, the homeroom teacher closed the laptop and slammed a hand on the table. I've taught for 20 years and never seen such a hungry student. Everyone, stand up now. The 2 of them stood up dejectedly. Daisy was grinning when the king of hell called her out. Daisy, Mary, you 2 stand up as well. Go run 20 laps around the playground. 1 lap is 400 meters. 20 laps is 8 kilometers. My world collapsed. Fiona stood up without hesitation. Teacher, I also ate. I should be punished to run too. The homeroom teacher was left speechless. Although I was a good student, I was still the mischievous type. But Fiona was different. She is both academically excellent and well-behaved, especially obedient to the teacher. The homeroom teacher originally intended to turn a blind eye to her. Unexpectedly, she stepped forward on her own. The day after the punishment run, except for John, the rest of us could barely walk without our legs trembling. Because Fiona shared hardships, Daisy fully accepted Fiona. and since then we have had a small group of 5. As a transmigrator, if you only know how to pursue men and don't use the plot to make a fortune, then transmigrating is a waste. At the age of 5, George was still wearing diapers, while I had already started researching how to do e-commerce. At the age of 10, Daisy was still buying Bala Bala fairy transformation toys, while I had already entered the live streaming sales industry. At 15, John was being spanked by his mom with a feather duster, while I had already built my own business empire. We all have a bright future ahead. I juggle both academics and career, too busy to play games anymore. Others quit gaming too, because if they didn't, they wouldn't get into college and would have to study abroad just to eat Western food. I am still the leader among the 5 of us. I used to lead them to big wins, and now I lead them to make big money. Money earned with your own hands is ultimately different from money asked for from home. Daisy became an internet celebrity under my management. In her senior year of high school, I recommended her to a new director for an audition as the lead actress in his debut film. In the novel, Daisy was originally the female lead of this film. She and the director brought out the best in each other, and both of them shot to fame overnight. Daisy also won the highly prestigious Best Newcomer Award for this film. The Ding family is now begging Daisy to return, but Daisy said, "You weren't there when the sun set in the west, so who are you to return when it rises again in the east?" Later, when the 5 of us gathered for a drink and started boasting, Daisy made a bold claim. She didn't need to be a wealthy heiress. She would build her own fortune. After finishing his first year of high school, John realized he wasn't cut out for academics, so he dropped out to pursue a professional gaming career. Only we have witnessed his embarrassing performances as a novice Lu Ban and the ADC that made everyone laugh, and we never tire of teasing him about it. His fans all call him Young Master John, because if he doesn't work hard in his matches, he'll have to go back and inherit the family business. John probably really doesn't want to inherit the family business, as he trains harder than anyone else. He has been overcoming all obstacles in the KPI, and we all feel he might actually bring home a championship. Unlike the rest of us who are not focused on our careers, Fiona went all the way through graduate school, got her PhD, and passed the civil service exam, finally succeeding in landing a stable job. At the gathering, she said, "Daisy is in the entertainment industry, John is in the esports scene, you and George are in business, so I'll go into politics. I'll become a high-ranking official in the future and be your backer." I used to always think that Daisy was the one who differed the most from her character in the novel. In the novel's plot, she was arrogant, willful, and acted recklessly, a true outlaw. But now, she has an excellent reputation and is well known in the entertainment industry for respecting her seniors and caring for her juniors. In reality, Daisy's nature hasn't changed at all. When faced with a senior who tried to exploit the unwritten rules, she dared to confront them openly on a show. For the marketing accounts that spread rumors and stir up trouble, she directly took them to court. She is still a feisty little hedgehog, and Fiona is the one who has changed the most. In the original plot, Fiona was clearly a manipulative and dependent green tea character relying on John. She seemed to have no thoughts or soul, merely a tool for the male protagonist. But now, she has found something she truly wants to do. I am very happy for her. Daisy side story. The 4 of us had a very strange dream. I dreamed I was a villainous female character. My favorite person was George, and the person I hated the most was Mary. George liked Mary, so I bullied Mary. When I bullied Mary, George would protect her, so the more I bullied Mary, the more I hated her, and in the end, I almost tortured Mary to death. After waking up, I didn't even want to recall the tragic state of Mary in my dream. Holding the blanket, I was completely baffled. How could I have such a dream? What's so great about George anyway? A guy who was still wearing diapers in elementary school. Clearly, Mary is much more handsome than George. She's good looking, gets good grades, is great at gaming, can carry the team, and even gives me the blue buff. Whoever kills me, she'll take me to kill them and even lets me have the kill. Although I was very unhappy when she later took Princess Fiona. It's not enough to hate her this much, is it? The phone rang, and it was a message from John. I had such a strange dream. John said that in his dream, after his middle school entrance exam, his parents were framed and killed by a business rival, and then he was adopted by Mary's family. Mary had been secretly helping him all along, but Fiona took credit for her efforts. leading him to mistakenly believe that Mary's family was responsible for his parents' deaths. He almost tortured Mary to death. He said he was simply a beast. Mary has been so good to him, yet he actually had such a dream. John told me not to tell Mary, or even if it was just a dream, Mary would beat him to death. He suddenly sent a few big exclamation marks. George also dreamed of Mary. He said that in his dream, he was the Buddhist disciple of J City. After Mary's family went bankrupt, she became his kept woman, and he even did all sorts of things to Mary. He's worse than an animal. I've finally got something on him. Just wait, I'm going to make him pay dearly. He. I was stunned. He even told you that. Not exactly. I asked him about it. I felt something was off. Why would you ask him that? Don't tell me you also did all sorts of things to Mary in your dream. Don't talk nonsense. He. I've got you by the handle now. Just wait for me to extort a good sum from you. John resignedly transferred the ill-gotten gains he had just extorted from George to me. I took the money and told him, by the way, I also dreamed about Mary, and it was somewhat similar to what both of you dreamed about. I told John about the content of my dream, and he was also stunned. How could this be? Do you think Fiona might have had this kind of dream too? We went to ask Fiona, and sure enough, she had also had a strange dream. Fiona is the sharpest of us all, and she said, haven't you noticed that our dreams are connected? It really is. I read the most novels and guessed, could Mary be a reincarnator? Did she change all our fates by living a second life? Fiona disagreed and said, I still believe in science. John thought I made a good point. George said he couldn't imagine how ashamed he would be if he really acted like he did in his dream. Actually, we are too. I'm a top-tier female celebrity now. What kind of man could I not have? If I were to chase after a man all day with an empty head, just thinking about it makes me feel utterly embarrassed. John suddenly blurted out, haven't seen Mary in a while, right? Come to think of it, that's true, everyone's been so busy lately. It's been almost 2 weeks since we last saw her. George suggested, let's get together this weekend and buy Mary a gift as a way to make it up to her. That works too, no matter what the dream was. We all love Mary very much now. No one can hurt her, not even ourselves. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.